Hello, everybody. This is James McDaniels, and this is the NBA and NASCAR Power Half Hour. I am your host, and we have got another great show on tap for you guys today. And you know what? We have got a lot of NBA news to talk about, and not just the playoffs. We're talking a lot of unique stories. Like I say, I go and search unique stories every week. This week, I didn't really have to look hard to find them because they kind of were big in the news anyway. So they include one of the first player in one of the four major American sports leagues has came out and says that he is gay. That is a boundary that has yet to be broken until now. All right, so I'll tell you all about it. I'll tell you about the reaction that people are saying about it. We've got an injury from one of the best players in the playoffs that is going to have him out for at least the rest of the playoffs. Who knows about next season? We'll get to that. A huge decision today regarding the Sacramento Kings in the ongoing Sacramento-Seattle saga. So I'll tell you what the committee's recommendation was and basically what this holds now to basically help decide what will be the ultimate fate, I should say, of the Sacramento Kings. We'll go over the NBA playoffs. We'll basically, not like in terms of break it down, but we'll go over basically what's happened in the playoffs so far. We've already had some sweeps. Get out the brooms. Yes, yes, yes. We've got a few series that have not been sweeps, but have been very close to sweeps. And then we've got a few other series that are neck and neck. So we'll go over every series, the main guys, the main scores, talk about that. And then, of course, we'll talk about the NASCAR race this week at Richmond. Huge, great green-white checker finish this week. I'll tell you who won, came out on top. We'll tell you what happened, and even tempers flared after the race. So we'll get to all that. Of course, it's very hard to get into a half an hour, so let's get started. Okay, so I want to start out first by actually going to the Sacramento Kings Seattle saga for the Sacramento Kings. Now, of course, we've heard about this. I talk about this nearly every week. Of course, I'm a huge Sacramento Kings fan, so it kind of relates to me. So basically, of course, the Sacramento Kings, in January, the owners, the Maloof family, which had tried to move the Kings in 2011 to Anaheim, didn't work. They got into an agreement with Mayor Kevin Johnson to keep the Kings here and get a new arena deal. That fell apart last year. And now this year, in January, the Maloofs tried to sell or made a deal with Chris Hansen and Steve Ballmer up in Seattle. Now they have stuff to do with Microsoft and stuff, so they're worth a lot of money. They put up $525 million originally for the team, or no, not $525 million like in total. But based on what they were going to pay, like something like $365 million or something like that for 65% of the team, that comes out to about $525 million as valuing the team as 100%. So the Maloofs tried to sell to Chris Hansen and all that other stuff, and so now we're at the point to where we've gone it to where the NBA, got the relocation letter from Seattle, a few months back. Sacramento, on the other hand, created a counterbid led by Mayor Kevin Johnson and Vivek Ranadive, Mark Mastrov, a few other guys. They've all pitched in to put a great arena deal together and a purchase offer to buy the Kings. So honestly, both cities have great offers going on. Now, in the last little bit, the Maloofs, of course, are really in the Seattle thing. They even sent a letter to the NBA to tell them, hey, we want this team to stay. Or, no, we don't want the team to stay. We want them to move to Seattle. But, of course, the NBA, or should I say David Stern, I should say, has repeatedly said that the NBA, or the Maloofs, I should say, are not in charge of where a team relocates to or should be at all. I mean, the Maloofs can decide who they want to sell to, but the NBA has to approve it, and at the same time, the Maloofs don't get to decide where the team stays. The NBA does. So it's kind of out of the Maloofs' hands to say where the heck the team's going to go and all that other stuff. Now, Both counterbids were presented to the NBA on April 3rd. We didn't get a clear answer there. We waited to the Board of Governors meeting on the 18th and 19th and even the 17th of April. We got nothing out of that. The meeting was pushed back farther into April. And now we're finally at today, where the NBA Relocation Committee, which consists of 12 members, or 12 owners, I should say, from the 30 NBA teams. So there's still, 18 owners that weren't there. But anyway, 12 members or 12 owners of NBA teams that make up the Relocation Committee made a teleconference call today, basically with all the leaders and stuff. And so their recommendation for the Sacramento Kings is for them to stay in Sacramento. And this was not just a decision that was, 50-50. It was unanimous. All 12 owners agreed that the Sacramento Kings should stay in Sacramento and not go to Seattle. Now, I understand that Seattle, had a great bid, and Steve Ballmer and Chris Hansen and all that other stuff, but honestly, when you have the fan support of Sacramento that has never ended, when you have the multiple attempts that we've had to get an arena, the fact that we and the fact that we haven't broken them apart, it's been the other group, the fact that we have, just a great city, we're a big TV market. I mean, you can't really take us out there either. We've got, we've shown our passion for the Kings. The fans have, the city has, the sponsors have all together tried to save these Kings multiple times. We've got great investors behind us. I mean, and the money's there. So technically, I don't see any reason why the NBA should move the Kings out of Sacramento. And that's why I agree with their decision. I'm not saying it just because I'm a Kings fan, but I'm saying it because there's really no reason to based on all the information given. Because like I said in my last show, I mean, there's other things that you have to consider when the Hansen Group is buying, like the relocation fee and the money that you have to pay back to them to pay back to the city of Sacramento. I mean, that's all included in that $550 million that the NBA does not have, that the Sacramento Group does not have to include in their deal. So, either way you look at it, it's a very big win. It's a very big day for the city of Sacramento. For me, I was personally in school when I got the news. I almost flipped out. I was absolutely ecstatic that the Sacramento Kings are possibly staying, or very likely now I should say, staying in Sacramento. Now, it's not a done deal yet. You still have to go to the Board of Governors, and they have to vote on it. Now, by NBA bylaws, the NBA owners have to wait 7 days to make a vote on it. Now, that's, of course, to have a grace period and to look over the recommendation, to look over all the stuff again, which, of course, they probably looked over several thousand times because they've been on this issue so long. But anyway, I mean, both deals are very complex, so they need all the time they need. But anyway, the vote will come in the week of May 13th. That is what we're being told by the NBA, is that's when the vote on this will be done with the Board of Governors. Now, the recommendation by the NBA is supposed to have a very, very strong influence on the rest of the NBA Board of Governors. Now, because there were 12 owners there that all unanimously said that Sacramento should stay in, that the Kings should stay in Sacramento, and the fact that you have to have 2/3 majority to have a sell of the franchise, that means that Kevin Johnson only had to win over 8. Well, if he won over 12 owners in the relocation committee, it doesn't matter if all the other 18 owners vote in against the Sacramento Kings staying in Sacramento. Kings are still going to be fine because you've already got enough votes as it is from the relocation committee to override it because it was a unanimous decision. So technically, I'm not really scared about the sale because if all the guys vote like they did today, in 2 weeks, then no matter what everybody else votes on, yes or no, Kings are going to stay in Sacramento. Now, of course, if the sale's blocked, then the relocation will probably be blocked, and even you have 12 unanimous votes to keep the Kings in Sacramento, so you would only need about 4 more votes or something like that to block the sale of relocation. And if the sale doesn't go through, which it probably very likely will not, then the relocation won't either, and then the Malus will pretty much be stuck. They'll be forced to sell to Sacramento. This whole saga will be done, and a brand new chapter and a brand new era in Sacramento will finally start, and we'll finally get good NBA basketball back in Sacramento. So that is the update on Sacramento Kings saga. Of course, there's a lot of people that are pretty happy with it. Even Mayor Kevin Johnson, all right? Of course, we know he's pretty happy, but as soon as he heard the news, this is what he tweeted. He said, quote, "That's what I'm talking about, Sacramento. We did it." And that's with a lot of exclamation marks on it. I mean, a lot of things. And, that just tells you how much work that we really did, that the NBA did, that Sacramento did, that Kevin Johnson did, that Ron Adive and Mark Mastroff did, what all the work the Kings fans did. I mean, just supporting the team in throughout, even through the hard times and the loose times, they were still doing it. So, you know what? That's my say. It's not a done deal yet, but it's pretty much almost a guarantee at this point that the Kings will stay in Sacramento. And for Seattle, you got a lot of money, you got a lot of great people, you got a good arena deal ready to go, and the fact that somebody would want to even put up $550 million for one of the worst teams in the NBA, the next time a team comes up, say from Atlanta or Milwaukee, because they don't got a lot of good fan support, as I've said in the past, because they don't sell out a lot of games, even with the playoffs going on. If they want to come by to Seattle, heck, I don't see any reason why the NBA would say no to that. I mean, Seattle does deserve a team, and they've got fan support and arena deal and everything. So Seattle, definitely not done with you guys. You guys will definitely get an NBA team soon enough. It just will not be right now with our team, the Sacramento Kings. Okay, so that's what I'm saying on that. Let's go to some other breaking news in the sports world, or should I say the NBA world. Jason Collins, okay, so this guy is actually a free agent, I should say, at this point in his NBA career. He did end last season with the Washington Wizards after he was traded earlier in the season by the Boston Celtics. So this guy, this Jason Collins guy, he doesn't score a lot, or he doesn't have a lot of big stats. He's not a huge all-star, at least right now. I mean, he's played for, New Jersey Nets, Memphis Grizzlies, Minnesota Timberwolves, Atlanta Hawks, the Boston Celtics, and then the Wizards. So he's played for a lot of teams. He's played exactly 713 career games, and he only averages about 3.6 points and about 3.8 rebounds. So he's not that big of a player, okay? But he's got really popular right now with the fact that he is the first player to ever, in any of the 4 major sports leagues, to ever come out and say he is gay. Now, I do not know what the big deal about this is. I mean, that is just his opinion, and I don't know what the deal is with everybody going absolutely crazy like this is just big old news. I mean, like somebody died or something, as big as that. I mean, this, just because he comes out and says, "Oh, I'm gay," that should not be a huge issue, at least in my opinion. I mean, this is a free country, and if you have a 2 consenting men or 2 consenting women, it should be, that should be your right. It shouldn't be our right to tell you should not do it or whatever. So the fact that this is big news, I love that Jason Collins is coming out and saying that I'm gay. He's finally broken the barrier or boundary that all these teams and players have had to work with, because nobody wanted to come out. Now that Jason Collins has came out and said that he's gay, I am just waiting for more players to come out from any of the 4 major sports leagues, or even more, and come out and say that they're gay. Because, you know what? That's your right. That's your freedom. You should be proud of what you feel like. You should be proud of your orientation, regardless of whether it's gay or straight. It should be your right. So I really feel good for Jason Collins, because it's good that he came out and finally broke the barrier. And so now teams and players will have more confidence, if they are gay, to come out and say it, now that the barrier has been broken. So Jason Collins, I applaud you. I hate how everybody's making this such a big dang deal, considering that, it shouldn't be a big deal at all. That's just his dang opinion, and I hate how people just get all over it. This is a free country and all that. Even, President Obama and President Bill Clinton, all right? This guy, when Jason Collins came out and said this, all right, he got some criticism, I'll admit that, but he did get an overwhelmingly amount of support. All right, this guy got compliments from the President of the United States and a former President of the United States. He got compliments from Kobe Bryant. All right, and if I even got to tell you, I'll tell you what they said. All right, so here's what Kobe Bryant said, all right, in support of Jason Collins. He said, quote, proud of at Jason Collins 34. Don't suffocate who you are because of the ignorance of others. And then hashtag courage, hashtag support, hashtag Mamba Army stand up, and hashtag be you. Okay, end quote. That was the tweet that Kobe Bryant sent out to Jason Collins to show his support of Jason Collins' decision to come out and say he's gay and all that stuff. All right, and like I said, this guy also got compliments from the White House and Obama and stuff. This is what Obama did. It says that Obama reached out by phone expressing his support, telling Collins he is impressed by his courage. Former President Bill Clinton, he also applauded Collins' announcement by saying this, quote, Jason's announcement today is an important moment in professional sports, or for professional sports, and in the history of the LGBT, which stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. It is also the straightforward statement of a good man who wants no more than what so many of us seek. To be able to be who we are, to do our work, to build families, and to contribute to our communities. For so many members of the LGBT community, these simple goals remain elusive. I hope that everyone, particularly Jason's colleagues in the NBA, the media, and many of his families and many fans, extend to him their support and the respect he has earned, end quote. And you know what? That sums it up right there. That sums it up all about Jason's courage to come out and say what he did. And I've said that again. I really don't think it should be a big of a story. That's just his thing. That's his opinion. And you know what? I just hope this leads the way to more people not being afraid to really let out who they really are. So again, I applaud Jason Collins, and I think this will be a major step in the sports world in the right direction, so people can voice what they really feel, no matter how personal it is, including your sexual orientation. All right, so big story there. Another big story: Russell Westbrook. Okay, like I said, he's going to miss the playoffs. So this is why. So he underwent knee surgery on Saturday to repair a, quote, lateral meniscus tear in his right knee, end quote. Okay, so basically Westbrook, he's never missed a game in his life. Never has missed a game. In fact, this is what LeBron James said about Westbrook's injury. He said that the injury was unfortunate. All right, he said it sucks. And he even said this. All right, here's the long quote that he even said in addition to those two very small word statements. Quote, he's a guy who's never missed a game in his whole life. We're not just talking about the NBA. He's never missed a game in high school, college, or Little League. It's unfortunate because he's a great player like him, or especially for a great player like him, seeing how hard he works, especially being with the Olympic team. It's unfortunate. Hopefully, he has a speedy recovery, end quote. And you know what? I think LeBron James couldn't have said it any better. I mean, Russell Westbrook, he's a very good player. He's probably behind Kevin Durant as the best player on the Thunder, but he's definitely the second best for sure. He's very important to the Thunder lineup. Now, the Thunder are doing pretty good in the playoffs even without him, and I'll get to that in a minute here. But just to give you some light on how the heck this even happened. This happened in Game 2 of the NBA playoffs. So Patrick Beverley, apparently, they banged knees or something. I don't know. It just says that Westbrook tried to go for a steal, and then he ran into the knees of Patrick Beverley. So that's pretty much all they say about it. I didn't see the injury, actually, but that's basically your summary of it. So this was what the executive vice president and general manager of the Thunder, Sam Presti said about Russell Westbrook's injury. He said, quote, "Although we are, of course, disappointed that Russell will be unable to return to the floor with his teammates this season, the opportunity to repair the meniscus as opposed to remove it was the best possible scenario for Russell's long-term health as a player and person. Russell's health and well-being are obviously our number one priority through this process, and today's procedure helps solidify our belief that Russell will have many productive years of basketball in his future," end quote. So, Russell Westbrook will be out of the playoffs. We will see if he comes back by the start of next season. That's not sure yet, but one thing's for sure, he'll be out for the rest of the playoffs. Who knows how the Thunder will deal with them? Of course, the Thunder have a lot of great other people in their lineups, including Durant. They've got people like Kevin Martin coming off the bench, so the Thunder can really do well, and they're really showing it in these playoffs. So I'm not really too worried. It's definitely a loss for the Thunder, but I don't think it's going to really hurt their chances. They're still one of my favorites to win the West, and they're probably one of the better teams that could really give Miami a hard time in the NBA Finals, because of all odd things, or not of all odd things, but very, very, very likely that the Miami Heat are just going to walk their way right over to the East Championship and then go and play in the NBA Finals. But of course, you still got the Pacers, you still got a few other teams to look at, and we'll look at those teams right now that could definitely give the Heat a hard time come the next round. But what we do know is that the Heat did make it past the first round. So here's your summary of the NBA playoffs as they stand right now. So Miami versus Milwaukee, of course, remember at the beginning of the series, Brandon Jennings made a bold statement and said that the Bucks would beat Miami, and I believe it was either 5 or 6 games. I believe it was 6 games. I know last week I said 5. Point is, Brandon Jennings said that the Bucks would be able to beat the Heat between 5 and 6 games. All right, well, completely false, completely other than that, not true at all. It took 4 games. Miami sweeps Milwaukee. All right, and here were the scores to that series, and they weren't even close. All right, the Heat 110-87 the first game. All right, second game 98-86. All right, so they beat him by 12 the second game. All right, next game after that, beat him by 13, 104-91, and finally, game 4, 11-point win, 88-77. So it was kind of close, I guess you could say, but still, every single game on this on ESPN.com here, gives a final score that says that the Heat beat the Bucks by double digits. And so when you have a team like that, it just shows you how good of a team it is. And they held the Bucks to, let's see, 87 the first game, 86 the second game, 91 the third game, and then 77 the last game. So the Heat definitely took away control of the Bucks. No chance Bucks have to win the no chance the Bucks had to win that series. That was kind of like a bye for the Miami Heat in a way. So nice and easy, they go on to the next round, one of the first teams to advance. Let's go to some other teams in the Eastern Conference here. So now we've got Indiana Pacers and Atlanta Hawks. Now, like I said, Indiana could be a huge team that could possibly be a factor in the East. They do have some pretty strong players. Right now, Atlanta and Indiana are tied 2-2 for the series. As the first 4 games have gone, the first game, the Pacers won 107-90. Second game, Pacers won again, 113-98. Third game, Hawks stopped the Pacers' run by a huge score of 90-69. And then finally, game 4, 102-91, Hawks beat the Pacers. So right now, you've got a series that's tied 2-2. It appears definitely that the home team, whoever's home, definitely has the advantage. So in this case, Indiana probably has the advantage still at this point, as they still have home court advantage. So if things keep going the way they're going right now, then they'd probably win it in 7 games. But of course, anything can happen, and we'll see what comes out of that. But pretty much half and half, really. I mean, it can go anybody's way. I mean, both teams are winning kind of by blowout styles, so based on their home court. So we'll see how that series turns out. So let's go to Brooklyn and Chicago, where Chicago had a 3-1 lead over Brooklyn. Brooklyn gets a win to save themselves, and now they're down the series 3-2, but the series continues. Like I said, Bulls had a 3-1 lead. Nets did win. The only win that the Nets did have came in the very first game when they beat the Bulls 106-89. Second game, Bulls beat the Nets 90-82 on the road. Then the Bulls won again, very close game, 79-76 in Game 3. Game 4, a huge game, triple overtime for crying out loud. Bulls win it 142-134 on their home court. Then finally, Game 5, Nets stay alive with the win, 110-91. So, yeah, I really don't know how the series goes. I mean, of course, the Bulls would have probably swept the series had it not been for that first game because they've been doing well. Let's see, they outscored them by 8 points. Game 2, Game 3, outscored them by 3 points. Outscored them by 8 after triple overtime in Game 4. So, really, the Bulls, it's kind of neck and neck. I mean, the only two games the Nets have won, they've won by a large margin. I mean, let's see, 89-106, that's a huge margin, and then 110-91. So, or on Game 1 that was switched. Sorry, that instead the Nets had 106, Bulls had 89, and then Game 5 Nets had 110, Bulls had 91. So whenever Brooklyn wins, it seems like they basically take advantage of it, and both of those games were won on their home court. For the Bulls, they've won on the road and they won at home, but they were very, very close games, one including that triple overtime. So very close series. I would not be surprised if this series goes to a very exciting Game 7. So let's move on to more teams in the East. We have got the Knicks and the Celtics. New York Knicks, they took a 3-game lead. We all thought the series was over, but the Celtics, with a win in Game 4, they are staying alive right now in the East playoffs. So first game, Knicks beat Celtics 85-78. Game 2, Knicks win again 87-71. And like I said, again, Knicks had 3-0 start to the series. They won Game 3 90-76. And then Celtics stayed alive by winning at home 97-90. Of course, they still have to win the other next 3 games in a row. New York only has to have one. So it appears to me that the Knicks will probably win this series. But, of course, it's never over till it's over regardless. So we'll see what happens. But right now, I definitely got the Knicks over the Celtics, even though I wanted kind of the Celtics to win after the Boston bombings. So let's go over to the West right now, where it's nearly sweep city right now. So currently, we've got Game 4 going on at this point. They are currently in the third quarter, near the end of the third quarter. Rockets have a 8-point lead over the Thunder at this point. In Game 4, Oklahoma City Thunder leads 3-0 over the Rockets. So the first 3 games, Thunder 120-91 absolutely destroyed them. Second game, close win for them, 105-102. And then in Game 3, Thunder went on the road again by another close score, 104-101. So it's been a very close series, but Oklahoma City definitely, I mean, no matter what happens, if you get a close game, the matter is to just have, lead by 1, you win, and that's a huge game number to have on top of you. And because of those close wins, Oklahoma City now finds themselves at a 3-0 lead, even though those games were really, really close. So that's really important. So definitely have OKC in this one, even without Russell Westbrook. They're still doing very good, and even though right now they're down against the Rockets, they may come back and win it and sweep the series. If not, then they'll go back to Oklahoma City, and I think Oklahoma City will finish them off. Of course, the Lakers, it was hard enough for the Lakers just to get into the series itself, but San Antonio took care of them really, really fast. Spurs beat Lakers Game 1, 91-79. Game 2, Spurs win again, 102-91. Game 3 and 4, Spurs, of course, win again, 120-89 in Game 3, and Game 4, 103-82. So Spurs absolutely just destroyed the Lakers every game, even getting boos on the Lakers court from the Lakers fans. I mean, the Spurs absolutely just destroyed the Lakers in this series. It was not even close. Lakers didn't have any chance. Now, even though they had a bunch of those All-Stars and Pau Gasol and Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, just goes to show you that even with all those All-Stars, you can't make it work all the time. So Lakers definitely need to really rebuild after this season. And San Antonio Spurs, one of the other teams besides Thunder I think can definitely win the West. And for my underdog, definitely have to go with the Golden State Warriors. All right, Golden State Warriors, definitely a very, very good team. They lead the series right now against the higher seeded Denver, 3-1. So here's how it stands right now. Nuggets got the first win of the series, 97-95, very close game there. But now the Warriors have won the last three, 131 to 117 over the Nuggets in Game 2. Game 3, 110 to 108, another close game there. Warriors win that one. Game 4, 115 to 101. Like I said, Warriors won 3 in a row, so that was their third win in a row. So now they lead 3-1 in the series. Their offense is killing it. Curry is knocking it down from 3, and he's just shooting absolutely spectacular. The fans are loud at Golden State, so I got Golden State in this one. I originally thought Denver was going to have a tougher time on Golden State, but Golden State seems to really be getting the upper hand somehow on Denver, and now they're definitely the clear favorite to win the series. And I'm definitely running out of time here. 30 minutes. Oh, geez. Okay, so finally, we have the Clippers and the Memphis Grizzlies tied 2-2. Very good series going on right now. Clippers won first game, 112-91. Second game, Clippers win again, another close, a very close one this time, 93-91. Next two games, Grizzlies win it at home, 94-82. Game 3 and Game 4. Grizzlies beat Clippers by a huge margin, 104-83. So now the series is tied 2-2. Very, very close series between these two these two teams, and I guarantee you this will probably be just like the Chicago and Brooklyn series. I can almost guarantee you that the Clippers and Memphis will probably go to a Game 7. In Indiana, possibly Indiana could get in 6, but if Indiana loses in one of its next 2 games, then it'll definitely go to a Game 7. I don't see the Hawks winning the series. So whatever Indiana has to do, whether it's 6 games or 7 games, I see them winning the series. And like I said, Nets and Bulls, I really don't know. That's just up and grabs. New York Knicks, I think they've got that series over the Celtics. OKC definitely has it over Houston. San Antonio Spurs, they already took care of Lakers like Miami Heat took care of the Bucks. And then Golden State, a surprising underdog, looks like they're going to be able to beat Denver come their next game or so. So that is the NBA playoffs and their scores in a pretty much a heartbeat. Finally, let me quickly go over the Richmond race. Richmond, of course, a three-quarter mile track. Very kind of small track, but yet the same kind of a track is kind of a mini super speedway in a way. I mean, it's a very weird combination, but the guy who won it, closer Kevin Harvick, he got basically they had 11 cautions in this race. You got to remember this is a short track. So the last caution came out and it caused the green right checkered. So there was actually a lot of people that actually came in and pitted to get fresh tires, which kind of stunned everybody because you'd think that with 2 laps to go that if you went, you really, really, really risk being behind everybody for those that did not come and pit. But almost everybody came in and got 4 fresh tires, and that included Kevin Harvick. And Kevin Harvick was really fast. However, he wasn't able to catch Montoya coming up to the caution. We all thought Montoya was going to win, but then that caution came out, and that's what kind of ruined it for Montoya because other than that, I think Montoya would have won the race. But anyway, Kevin Harvick, he won the Toyota Owners 400. He only led, I think it was 2 laps throughout the entire night, but he did lead. One of those 2 laps was the most important. The last lap, he on the restart, which is green right checker, and you had a few guys in front of you that were on very old tires, and then you had these guys that are on brand new tires. And you got to remember, this is a short track, so a lot of braking. Tires wear really, really fast. Kevin Harvick absolutely just like exploded out of the pack like he was just shot out of a cannon. It was absolutely crazy how he just got out in front of everybody. Jeff Burton, who was out front and had very slow tires, old tires, could not get going up, and so he eventually, I believe he finished 5th. Let me check. Yes, he did. Yep, Jeff Burton did finish 5th, so that's pretty good for him. You don't see a good finish from him too often. Montoya, he couldn't end his streak, but he did end up with a very much needed top 5 finish. As for all the other things that happened today, or not today, but during the race, let's see. Clint Boyer, who does very well at this track, he led 113 laps, but he didn't have the car at the end to win. Let's see. We actually and one last thing also. Of course, Denny Hamlin's not Denny Hamlin was not in this race, so we're going to have to wait at least another week before Denny Hamlin gets back in the race car. But anyway, so I just wanted to make that clear. Brian Vickers drove for him in the number 11 car. And then that one fight that I told you about that happened, it escalated between Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart, who repeatedly basically swapped shots between each other. They kept trying to bump each other on the cool down lap after just something happened on a restart or something. It says Stewart. This is what NASCAR said. It says, quote, Stewart was 5th on the final restart, but dropped to 18th at the finish after Busch rubbed him out of the racing group during a 2-lap free-for-all that saw prolific contact throughout the field. And, of course, when you have contact at Richmond, and I remember seeing this, too, during the race. When you have contact at Richmond, you get out of the groove, you're really out of the groove. And you got pushed up, and when you have a 2-lap free-for-all like that and you got fresh tires, you feel like you could do really, really well compared to the guys that have tires in front of you that are really old, but didn't work for him. They got into a little bit of argument afterwards. Not a huge fight, maybe just a very, very miniature, like verbal fight, but really nothing other than that. So let's see, your top 5. Okay, so there was 11 cautions during the race. So the top 10 results: Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, Joey Logano, Juan Pablo Montoya, Jeff Byrne, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr. rounds up your top 10 for the race. And then my favorite, Jeff Gordon, he finished just behind 10th place in the 11th spot after he started 3rd. And actually, it was a pretty good day for Kevin Harvick because I know he won and stuff, but the fact that he came from 17th place is pretty dang good when you're talking about Richmond. So that's pretty much been your NBA and NASCAR Power Half Hour, guys. We've talked about all this different kind of stuff. I'm definitely running a little bit over schedule, so I got to end it now. But I thank you again for listening. I will see you guys next week where we will have more NBA news, more NBA playoff action, talk about any other weird stories that happen. Of course, the latest NASCAR race update or the NASCAR season update with the next race. So until then, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the week.